Hi everybody, I'm Jen Gagne from Pixelscapes.com, and I'm drawing and painting my way through the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual. Today's monster, as you saw, is a skeleton. Because skeletons are pretty complicated, I'm using this anatomical drawing as reference, but of course I had to move it into a sassy pose. Unfortunately, the program that I use, called Procreate on the iPad, it crashed while I was drawing, and so you can see it lost a chunk of what I was doing there. But you still see the drawing. Okay, so I play this back sped up, and then I just narrate for you. So here we go. So I put the purple in there just for fun. I'm going to move the bones back to black here just because it makes it easier to select and see what I'm doing. And I did notice that my lines were overlapping the ring, so I'm going to go ahead and erase those. And I also need a blocker there, essentially, to make sure that the bones don't leak when I'm filling the area in Photoshop. So this whole phase is using Photoshop. There's the rings back. Great. Let's see. So here I'm just trying to select everything that isn't bones, and then I will invert, and then I notice there's a leak in the pelvis there, so I'm going to seal that up. So I'm going to select everything that isn't bones and go ahead and fill it in with a sort of taupe color. And the rib cage is really complicated because there's so many little fiddly bits that some of them are ribs and some of them are empty places. So hopefully I get them all. I think I got most of them anyway. Alright, and the face is good. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that. Oh, yeah, kind of missed that. Yeah, there we go. Rest of it looks mostly okay. I went ahead and fixed up some areas, but all right. So I don't want the bones to look quite so brown, but that's my starting color because then I'm going to add some shading. So I select that whole area. I tried using an emboss, but it didn't look good, so I need a little more control than that. So I use a selected area, and then I feather that selection to make the dark shade, and then I move that up to make some white shading. Yeah. And it looks pretty good most places, but except that there's no eyeballs on his forehead, as you can see. So I go ahead and select that area, and then I'll manually paint that in just to get me back to smoother look for the cranium. There we go. And the jaw is fine, but the nose needs to get filled. Alright. And then I gave fussing around with brow ridges. And that little temple side of the head. There are the eyes. And then I don't want it to be quite so Groucho Marx, so I went ahead and cleaned it up. I swear I spent half my time just fussing over little details. And though by very nature they are unrealistic, cartoony monsters, but I care. That's the thing, I care. All right, and then the eyes. Sockets. Yeah, I want to make those teeth white, even though I know teeth are bone and technically they would all be the same color, but I want those teeth to be bright. So that's what I go for. All right. More eye socket fun. I want that unnatural white glow in the eyes. And I do come back and work on that later, but that's what it looks like for now. Okay, so pretty good. Now I can take those thigh blockers and erase them. And what was next? Okay, now I'm going to select the ring and do the background on the token. And since he's pretty monochrome, I ended up using a gradient where it fades from one color to another. And the same thing on the center. And I thought about putting bricks in here, like he's in a dungeon. As you can see. Okay. Changed my mind. We'll see. Yeah, I changed my mind because the ribs are already complicated. So I didn't want to have the super rough blocks because then it makes it kind of harder to read the skeleton. So instead, I went with these more, uniform bricks. And then in the background behind him, I just added a little blotchiness. Background black. Here, a nice fiery brick. Very friendly. Then I'm putting my line color. I'm going to put red at the top and green at the bottom. I don't want to fill in the whole thing. This is just sort of to make it contrast against a black background. And then the skeleton itself, it's tricky because I don't want to lose my detail, but I don't want it to be stark black either. Especially not where it sticks out against the black background. So I tried to make the ribcage a little brighter because it's more forward. And then the hand, just to make sure the fingers show. But the back is further away, which is why I erased it there. You get the gist. A little bit of detail here. So now the bones have some brown on them, but also like a black lower edge on the lines, just so it pops a little more. Then I actually tried adding this shadow. But I dialed that way down. I didn't want it to be too bright. And the other thing I noticed at this point, let's see, when do I work on it? We'll see. First I'm cleaning up the shadow. Yeah, the other thing I noticed is that that arm is a little dark gray, and I want it to be bright like the other long bones. And then I also, as I recall, I brightened up the bottom of the rib cage, the hands, the elbows. Like the smaller bones tended to get a little more shaded, and I didn't want that. So there we go. Way too much attention to detail. I'm trying to like differentiate these two bone seams because they're on different layers on a real pelvis. No, whatever. I am too focused. All right. And then I got this shadow pulled back up a little. Is he done? Oh, he's not done. I've got to still, I was still fussing over his eyes. So let's see what I do here. More shading in the sockets. brighten that back up. Like a white pinprick. Okay. I think he's done. So, thank you all for watching. Let's see. As I just said, thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to see more of my art, monsters, and NPCs, definitely drop by Pixelscapes.com. And last but not least, I would like to thank my Patreon supporters. My top Patreon supporter is Erica Regan, the founding member of my Conspiracy of Evil. Thank you so much, Erica. And I'd also like to thank my other Patreon supporters. If you want to learn more about the rewards I'm offering on Patreon, do drop by patreon.com/pixelscapes. People are getting art previews, token packs that they can use on Roll20, digital wallpapers, color variants. It's a blast. At any rate, thank you again for dropping in, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.